Okay, councillors, welcome to the May meeting, 21st of May council meeting. We'll advise everybody that this meeting is being recorded, and the audio and the visual. So if there's any objections to that, please let me know. But it is for our records to make available on the website because we aren't currently holding open meetings to the public due to COVID-19 restrictions. The audio recording of the council meeting. The public is advised that it is a council policy to record the proceedings of open meeting of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015. Acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge and pay respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians of this land on which we gather today, and acknowledge and pay respects to elders past and present. The conduct of the council meeting, we normally read out a piece generally, but obviously we're all social distancing and those types of things now, so just remind councillors to make sure you treat each other with respect, make sure the debate is in good faith, and make sure there's no abuse or anything like that, and we should all be fine. Excuse me for the rustling in papers. Item number one, the meeting commenced at 6:05. Record of attendance is Mayor Shaw. Deputy Mayor Cosgrove is an apology. If I call your name out, would you be able to just unmute yourself and just say that you're here, please? Councillor Belcher.
Here, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Browning.
Present.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Evans.
Here, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Pearce.
I'm here, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Triffett.
I'm here.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Woods.
I'm here, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Sorry, and there's apologies section there, and that is Deputy Mayor Cosgrove. Thank you. No leave of absence. Item number two, confirmation of the minutes. Do we have a mover? And I'll remind you again, if you just unmute yourself to move in second and then put yourself back on mute, that would be great.
Move, Mr. Mayor.
Moved, Councillor Evans.
I'll second that.
Second, Councillor Triffett. Any discussion, Councillor Evans?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Triffett? No, I'll give a second for anyone who would like to speak to the minutes, otherwise I'll call it.
Mr. Mayor, just Councillor Belcher.
Yep.
I would just like to touch down that it wasn't marked that I was an apology for that meeting.
For the April meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't receive an apology, Councillor, but...
Mr. Mayor, how could I get to go to the meeting with a Zoom when I wasn't given the link to my email that I've used for the last 5 years on council?
I'm not sure, Councillor. I spoke to you the day before the last meeting and told you that a staff member would be able to assist you in getting to that meeting. But regardless, if you couldn't make it, whether you had a link or not, I didn't receive an apology. So that's the question that you're asking. So you don't need a link to send an apology. Any further, councillors? All right, with that, I'll call for any dissent.
Yes, against Councillor Belcher.
Councillor Belcher against, thank you. And I'll take the rest as for. The motion is carried. Item 3, declaration of pecuniary interest by members. Do we have any this evening? Any from councillors? If you could just unmute yourself, or any from staff?
Councillor Browning.
Councillor Browning, what's your item, Councillor?
7.1 and 10.6.
Councillor Browning has declared a pecuniary interest in 7.1 and 10.6. Any
Correct.
further, councillors? No. Item 3.2, declaration of conflict of interest. Do we have any? Executive Manager Amanda.
10.6.
Item 10.6. Thank you. Amanda McCall is declaring a conflict of interest, and Councillor Evans has his standing perception of an interest there. Any further declaration of conflicts, councillors? No. Thank you. Excuse me. Item number 4, notification of council workshops. Do we have a mover?
I'll move that, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Triffett. Thank you. Second?
I'll second it, Mr Mayor. Councillor Pearce.
Yes, that was. Second. Any discussion, Councillor Triffett? Councillor Pearce?
No.
Any further discussion on the notification of council workshops, councillors? Just unmute yourself now. Otherwise, I'll put the vote. Any dissent for council workshops? No dissent. I'll take that as carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5, public question time. Item 5.1, responses to public questions taken on notice from previous meeting. There were nil. Item 5.2, public question time received in writing. There were nil. Item 5.3, public question time. And I do have a couple, so we've sorted our system out there. Members of the public can write in via email up until 5:30 on the day of the council meeting. Now that we're doing them online, so we do have a couple this evening. So thank you to those community members. James Graham has written in 2 questions. Big Ideas Festival. The question is, has the Big Ideas Festival been considered in the context of the 2020-21 budget? Are there any plans or processes in motion for the public to begin to get involved in this big idea? The short answer is to that, we haven't seen a report to councillors yet, and we are still working through the 2020-21 budget. So we'll have to advise at a later date on that because we haven't considered the budget yet. New Norfolk Distillery is the second question. Since September the 5th, 2019, Council and New Norfolk Distillery have been working on an MOU as per rental agreement. Council is still working on this since then. Therefore, can we expect this process to be completed soon? Is the distillery paying anything for the use of our asset? Do have, because we got them early, an answer there. Actually, can you have it answer that? Bill? Oh, sorry. Bill, that's operational.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the Regional Development Officer has advised us that the Memorandum of Understanding is yet to be discussed at a workshop. As noted on page 165 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you.
The terms of the lease arrangement with the New Norfolk Distillery are commercial in confidence. That said, the distillery is operating within the terms of their lease.
Thank you, Bill. That's Acting General Manager Bill Richardson there. Thank you. Other questions, I've got 2 questions again from Stephen Gargan. One question will not be tabled this evening. I've made that opinion that it's a statement about a council staff member that is inappropriate, and it's also a matter for the operational side of the business. And I think Bill will take that on notice, Bill, and write back to Mr. Gargan. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor, I'll do that.
Thank you. Second question I will take, and that is around Council Reserve Road. And why has the question is, why has yet another entrance and private road been allowed to be constructed on the Council Reserve at 521 Glendew Road, Molesworth? I've spoken to the executive manager in charge of that area, Richard Blackwell. He is not aware of any works being done, but we'll investigate and get to the bottom of what's going on, but certainly hasn't been any approved works from council. So the executive manager will write back to Mr. Gargan on that one. Thank you. Item number 6, petitions, deputations and presentations are nil this evening. Item number 7 is notices of motion. I'm going to leave the chair because this is my motion. As the Deputy Mayor is currently unavailable, as common practice at the Derwent Valley Council, normally the longest serving council member to take the chair. So that is Councillor Evans. So if you'd like to take the chair, Councillor Evans, that would be good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll have to leave the meeting. Can I receive a message when to return?
Oh, you
Councillor Browning?
Sorry, you declared an interest in that one as well?
Yes.
Okay, that's right, you did too. Yes, if you could log off and then log back in using the, someone will send you a message when it's right to do so, and just ask to rejoin the meeting and we'll rejoin you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
And I'll now vacate the chair at 6:15.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 7.1, Councillor Shaw, economic recovery post COVID-19. Move, Mr. Mayor.
I would like to move that, thank you.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Mr. Acting Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Triffett. Mr. Mayor, would you like to open discussion?
I would, thank you, Councillor Evans. Sorry, just making some notes just on my piece of paper for keeping record. Second, thank you, Councillor Triffett, for seconding that. Look, the motion's sort of pretty self-explanatory. I went into probably a little bit too much detail, really, for a motion. But essentially, it's about, I guess if we start at number 1, it's about slingshotting the Derwent Valley economy, and that's through residential increases. So I've had a bit of a look through past budgets and past financial statements, and my comments in the comment that they would have to be sort of looked at a little bit further, but roughly foregoing around $200,000 in application fees. But essentially, the potential benefits of slingshotting building works in the Derwent Valley is shoring up our future income streams, and that's our biggest issue here at Derwent Valley Council now is our cash flow and our income stream. Now I know people will say, well, we're already in a tight financial position this year, and we are. So that's why I'm proposing to do it now. Whilst we're in this situation, we probably wouldn't normally think about it in any normal situation. So whilst we're here, we're in a bit of a tough time. I think we're going to have to find a bit of a way out of it, and I think this might be one of the choices that we can do. Look, I'm more than happy to have people have debate and talk about it, and obviously this is coming back. I've asked for this to come back as part of the budget process, so I'm not asking councillors to decide on a budget tonight, but to give in principle support. The other thing that that does, I've also capped. You'll notice I've capped it at 10 subdivisions of 10 or less. And also a dollar figure. So if we have large-scale development, large developers don't necessarily get a free pass, if that makes sense. So we're still getting that income from those developers as well. All government business enterprises to be excluded. So obviously we still get the funds from Tas Water and any other government businesses that might be looking to do some large-scale work in the Derwent Valley. The other thing about it is the local side of it is that people can do their garages and their sheds and their decks and their pools and whatever else they might have been thinking about doing, but put it off for reasons, financial reasons, and think, well, don't necessarily want to deal with council and pay all those fees and those sort of things. If they get to do that and then use local content, local builders and local shops to buy all their gear, it also stimulates the economy. So I'll leave that there, and I've got another chance to talk about it later. Bring forward any future infrastructure projects. Well, that's a fairly easy one. If we've got the money there and the projects are on the cards, we've got it costed, let's start rolling them out. that's all that one's about. Making the policy and process for the tenders. So I spoke to the executive managers around the tender process, and whilst there is a local content in there, it's not real clear what local content is, whether it's Derwent Valley local, Tasmanian local, Southern Tasmania local. So I guess what I want to do there is really strengthen that tender process and policy and give some real heavy weighting, especially in this economic hardship times, local contractors to make sure they're getting the best chance to be winning our work and getting those jobs that I guess they already contribute to through their rates and different things. So that really is all that it's about. And the same reasoning is for the B, setting up an information session. A lot of contractors say to me, well, we just don't know how to deal with council and how to tender some of the larger projects, and it's a bit daunting. So that's an easy thing for us to be able to do, is set up a bit of an info session. Business case for the presentation, elected members on our Visitor Information Centre. It's part of our strategic plan. Tourism industry is calling for it. Business industry is calling for it here in the Derwent Valley. Again, while in my comments, absolutely respect the Visitor Information Centre volunteers. Have done a fantastic job for us over 20 years. But I think it's now time that it's closed at the moment, and we're going to need all the support and the best support we can in tourism and business and selling the region, that we have a business case and a plan moving out of this period to best support our industry, which is pretty much tourism and business here in the Derwent Valley. Item 4, launch party, branding party. We've talked about it at workshops about how we do it. So this is just my idea on how we could do it. I just want a costing, see if we can get a few people on board to say that they would like that. So talk to the industry leaders, talk to the business community, see if that's what they would like. To have a party, to relaunch the Valley, tell people we're open for business, but also a chance to launch our branding project. So again, it's just a report to come back. And the other one's a bit another sort of out of the box one, but we really need to try and attract, a large employer that brings economic stimulus to the Valley, but also employs our local people. We've seen what larger places like McDonald's, Woolworths, a few of those other larger enterprises can bring. We've got a new company just come into the town out this week, which will be opening an office which has 15 people, and that's going to really stimulate the economy. I want some more of that. So I'll put some dot points there about what I think, but I'm happy to get some advice around how we actually achieve that. So that's why all of these are subject to a future report. Sorry about the long-winded, but it is a long-winded motion, and I did want to do all in one because I think they all tie into each other. So thank you, Chair, for indulging. And did I come under the 5 minutes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You had about 15 seconds to spare, so that's pretty good.
I rehearsed it. Thank you.
Discussion, councillors. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. I'd like to commend the Mayor for his proactiveness. It's a good blueprint to go forward. However, it might be a challenge to get the work done, as I feel all local government areas, state and federal governments will be all trying to stimulate the economy at the same time. I like the idea of giving local contractors the opportunity to tender the work for council. I've spoken to the coordinator of the Visitor Information Centre. She's on board. As she said, she's getting older, all the volunteers are getting older, so something's got to give. And to be able to get a paid person in there, maybe with some volunteers, both with their own job descriptions, may work well. And of course, I love a party, so I'm right in for the branding, the coming out of COVID, street party, whatever. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Further councillors?
I wouldn't mind having a comment, Councillor Pearce.
Councillor Pearce, yes.
I'm sympathetic to much of what's been proposed, but I don't find myself able to support all of it. Firstly, the suggestions being put forward may have some merit, but a much better process would be for them to be considered as part of the budget rather than being determined now in advance of the budget. I think we should be careful not to raise expectations through early in principle support if there's a strong chance that we may not be able to afford them. And there are a lot of other important issues to consider in the budget, and I think it's a bit unfair to give these particular ones greater priority by considering them in advance. We have a very difficult COVID-19 recovery budget to finalise for consideration by Council next month, and I don't think we should be bringing materially significant individual budgetary issues forward for special consideration outside of the budget deliberations, especially when I don't think they're yet sufficiently developed to enable us to reasonably understand all of their implications. Secondly, although councillors are not currently in a position where we are authorised to release information about the discussions we've been having about the budget, it is my opinion that if we don't very carefully manage our finances, we could be very seriously risking running out of cash during next financial year and being unable to pay our bills as they fall due. I even note that the Mayor has been reported in the media earlier this week on ABC confirming the risk of running out of cash. Just to change the page. Further, we've got a deficit budget this year, and if we continue with deficits next year and into future years, we're likely to be in significant financial trouble, and I don't want to be part of a council that knowingly plans to risk insolvency. In relation to the DA, BA and PA fees, I can't support that. The motion doesn't indicate what the financial implications of this are, but they could be in around about 300,000 a year. In a draft budget where we're already looking at a very significant accrual on cash deficits, I'm not convinced we can actually afford to do it. I'm not aware of any evidence that these fees are actually deterring construction, or that suspending them will bring in new investment that wouldn't otherwise occur. And I'm also not convinced that even if we were to remove these fees, we should exclude government authorities from any fee relief that we might choose to offer. Encouraging government investment in the Derwent Valley is just as important as encouraging private investment. In terms of the infrastructure spending, as a responsible council and as responsible financial managers, I think we should actually be deferring infrastructure spending decisions and decisions about our infrastructure strategy so that we can consider them in the budget rather than out of that context. As I said, there's a strong likelihood that we could be running out of cash next year, so we need to be very careful about what capital works we do, especially if they're fully funded by the council and not supported by someone else. I have no problem at all in the idea of briefing local business on our local contract provisions, but I do think if we're going to ask staff to review it, we should give some indication about what we actually want them to change. In terms of the visitor centre, I tentatively support that. I think perhaps we should just do an initial scoping report rather than a full feasibility study. I have no real idea what it might actually involve and what it might cost. The branding launch I support wholeheartedly. I think that is probably one of the most significant things that we can do to help rebuild our economy after COVID-19. In terms of getting a big employer, I don't mind asking the GM to investigate, but I'm not sure that having them actually in here by the end of 2020/21 is likely to be achievable. And I'm not quite sure whether we should be actually preempting what we would be doing to incentivise businesses. Telling people about rates, holidays, I think could just create problems about precedent, and there could be other businesses who would be saying, what about us? So that's me. I can support some of it, but not all of it.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Well thought out response. Further councillors?
Yes, Councillor Belcher.
Go ahead, Councillor Belcher.
Just a couple. It was a good motion come forward by the Mayor, but I'm also leaning towards Frank. It's the costing that it is concern to me. I think it's around about 250,000 in revenue that we get, and I think that if we are offering it for free, we don't know if that's going to double, and next thing we could need another planner or more planning staff. So the 250,000 that we do get from DAs and that at the moment could blow out to 500, which could double the workload and again double our costs with staffing and things like that. But obviously, yes, it is a tricky time, and we have to do something. But I just think this for our little council with the budget that we have, I think is I think would put us in dire straits. So I can't support it, but like I said, it is a good motion, and maybe come back later on down the track we could look at it again, but I couldn't support it tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Belcher. Further councillors?
Yes, Councillor Woods.
Go ahead, Councillor Woods.
Put a break there.
Can you hear me?
Can now, Councillor Woods.
So points 2, 3 and 4.
You're breaking up a little bit, Councillor
And
Woods.
I definitely agree with Councillor Pearce and Belcher. I can't support that for the same reasons. So yeah, I thought it was a really good offering, and yeah, I also can't support the full motion at this time either.
Thank you, Councillor Woods. Any further councillors? I think we have
Councillor Browning's the only one, and yourself.
Councillor Browning's out of the room.
Oh, that's right. Just yourself then.
Just myself. I won't speak from the chair, Mr. Mayor. I actually support the motion though. I like the intent of it, and I like it was well thought out. I like the responses from the elected members and the thoughts that's gone in around that, and obviously risk implications to council, but also the benefit what could come from council through economic growth and development. So I will be supporting this, but yeah, I support the motion, Mr. Mayor. Would you like to close, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Councillor Evans, Acting Chair. Look, thanks, councillors. I completely get everybody's point of view. I guess what I wanted to do is get some thought-provoking things out on the table, and most of you will know, most of the public will know, I don't necessarily like to be, put in a box that, that's the way that, local government's always done things, and that's the way they haven't. To be honest, I got the idea from a large council in another state who's actually done and admittedly it would be a council who has quite a considerable cash at bank. So I completely understand our challenges financially. I guess what I was getting at is getting in front of the pack. Everybody, and one of the Councillor Trifford, I think was Councillor Trifford, I think it was, who asked. Sorry, I can't remember where my train of thought was.
All the local government areas.
That's right. All other local government areas will be trying to stimulate at the same time. What I was trying to do was actually jump forward, that leapfrog those, and actually get us in a position where we could get contractors at a decent rate, because all this infrastructure spend is going to hurt local government and state government, all this extra spend. So I wanted to leapfrog that a little bit. Again, I completely respected it, and I kind of thought that some of those comments would be coming. Councillor Pearce, I'm just going to respond to a couple of things there I wrote whilst you were speaking. I think I was on radio this week and did echo your sentiments actually from some discussions that we had in budgetary workshops and things like that, and some concerns around our cash flow. So I do also recognise that, but I also think there's some considerable state government stimulus and help around that actually could cover this, and a few other things that we like to do in terms of our cash flow, at least for 12 months. And if it does come off, in terms of the DA fees and the investment, it's a long shot. But if it does come off, our finances into the future are set, because you've got more houses, you've got more bills, and you've got more people. So that was the intent behind it. But I completely get where everyone's a little bit concerned about it as well. And that's pretty much it. But other than that, again, I completely respect and thank everybody for their debate on that one. Again, they were all for considering budgetary costing the budget, and I get what Councillor Pearce said in terms of we probably shouldn't be considering some in front of others, but I wanted to put it on the table officially, just to say start thinking outside the box for our budget process. Thank you. That's it, Chair. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With that, I'll put the motion. All those in favour of the motion? But actually, I'll do it the right way. Those, any dissent?
Councillor Pearce.
Pearce?
Councillor Belcher.
Councillor Belcher,
Councillor Woods,
Councillor Woods. Okay.
Councillor Browning, Taylor Brown.
Those in favour of the motion?
Councillor Triffett,
Councillor Triffett,
Councillor Shaw.
Councillor Shaw and Councillor Evans. Motion 3-all, the motion is lost.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll go back to my seat.
Thank you, Chair. I'll resume and I'll send, has anyone sent Councillor Browning a message? I will do now if you haven't. Sorry, councillors, there'll just be a small delay whilst we wait for Councillor Browning to log back in.
Just the time Councillor Brown comes back in, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Evans. I think. Are you back, Councillor Browning?
I'm here.
So Councillor Browning re-entered the meeting at 6:35. Thank you. Thank you, councillors, for that. It is a little bit difficult when we're doing it virtually, but I think we got through that quite well, so it was good. Item number 8, consideration of supplementary items to the agenda. We do not have any this evening. Item number 9, we don't have any planning authority items. Item number 10, reports of officers and committees. 10.1, monthly financial report. Can we have a mover, please? Councillor Triffett? Is that a yes? Is that a move? Yeah. Second?
I'll second it. Councillor Pearce.
Councillor Pearce. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Triffett?
no, thank you. I'll leave that up to Councillor Pearce.
Councillor Pearce.
I don't have much to say. I just note that we look, based on the report, we look like heading towards a cash balance at the end of the year of $4.4 million. Sounds good, but most of that is already allocated as restricted cash. And in the budget deliberations we're talking about in workshops, we look like using up a great deal of that, if not all of it, next financial year. So we just need to be really careful about it. The only other thing, it's good to see that in the list of all of our capital projects that there seems to be almost all of them, if not all of them, we still intend to finish by the end of June. So that's excellent. Thank you.
Is that including, I've got the executive officer, is that including the federal grant money that are we carrying that forward?
Yeah, that's excluding, Mr Mayor, that those works will exclude those government-funded projects.
Because there was 2.1 million in the last year's budget that we said that we would spend this year. It was actually accounted for in our budget. Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Pearce, I'm going to do something a little bit out of the box because I've been asked this question, as you mentioned, that I was on ABC this weekend, and there's been some criticism levelled at the council around having cash in the bank versus cash at the bank. And you've just touched on it in terms of tied funding and restricted cash for our community. Would you like to elaborate on what you meant around tied and restricted cash?
In terms of restricted cash, there are a whole pile of things like council reserves where we've agreed that we will put aside money for particular things such as road construction, or and we also need to have money set aside for employee benefits such as long service leave. So all of those are sort of reserves and provisions are, I guess by law, they're the kinds of things that you should actually carry enough cash for at all times. There's about $4 million of that at the moment. So when we have a cash balance of $4.4 million, we actually don't have a lot to play with as free cash. Probably in our COVID-19 recovery budget next year, we will actually choose to start using some of that up, if not a lot of it. But the onus will be on the council over the following few years to try and rebuild so that our restricted cash is fully covered. Sometimes that will go down if we actually use money from reserves that's been allocated for particular purposes. If we use it for those purposes, then the need to hold that money is less. But we always need to have enough to cover things, especially things like employee provisions.
Thank you. Again, I know that's sort of a little bit out of the box, but it's fairly topical at the moment around all local government areas. So, and you mentioned it, so I thought I'd ask you to clarify. So, thank you. Any further discussion on the financial report, councillors? No, would you like to close, Councillor Tripper?
No.
Okay. Call for any dissent for the monthly financial report. There being none, I will call that carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 10.2, planning applications dealt with by delegation. Do we have a mover?
I'm happy to move that, Mr Mayor. Councillor Pearce.
Yes, moved. Councillor Pearce. Second.
I'm happy to second that, Councillor Belcher.
Thank you, Councillor Belcher. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Pearce?
Only to flag that there are a range of additional dwellings in there, which I guess is what you were talking about earlier. So it's good to see that people are still putting planning applications in and hoping to build in the Derwent Valley.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. I will note that when I was doing some research on my motion that you just mentioned, that we have actually grown 10% year on year for the last 5 years in terms of development. So we actually are on a good trajectory. Any further discussion, councillors? All right. Would you like to close, Councillor Pearce?
No, that's fine.
Thank you. A call for any dissent on the planning applications dealt with by delegation. There being none, I'll take that as everybody's for, and the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.3, minutes of special committees of council, HIC and DFATs. Do we have a mover?
Councillor Belcher, we'll move that if you want, Mr Mayor.
That's fine, yep. Councillor Belcher moved. Second, Councillor Triffett. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Belcher?
No, I'm happy. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Triffett, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, I think it's good. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors, on the minutes, special committees? No, would you like to close, Councillor Belcher?
No, I'm all good. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Call for any dissent? There being none, motion is carried unanimously. Item 10.4, cemetery management policy. Do we have a mover?
I'd like to do that with a amendment, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Triffett. Oh, okay. Yes, Councillor Triffett would like to move 10.4 with an amendment. What's the amendment, Councillor?
Put a .3 in there, that there be an amnesty for placing tributes, decorations, tokens, etc. during the Christmas period.
Amnesty.
For a certain time.
You've got that written, Councillor? But,
Yeah.
Amnesty for placing
tributes, decorations, tokens, etc. over the Christmas period.
decorations. Christmas period. Is anybody having trouble understanding that .3 for the amended motion? If you do, let me know if you didn't understand it. Otherwise, I'll call for a seconder.
Mr Mayor, could you just read that out clearly, please?
No worries. So, Councillor Triffett has moved the motion with an amendment, or proposed amendment, .3, that there be an amnesty for placing tributes, decorations, and other tributes over the Christmas period.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does this amended motion have a seconder?
Councillor Pearce, I'm happy to second that.
So that's good. So would you like to open discussion, Councillor Triffett?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This would allow relatives and friends to include their loved ones in their Christmas traditions. I know in my family we go and visit Nanny Ez as close to Christmas as we can and leave a little something, a decoration, shortbread biscuit, etc. Christmas can be a very hard time for some people, especially if this is the first Christmas. without your loved ones. So let's have a little compassion and include our deceased relatives.
Thank you, Councillor Triffett. Any further discussion, councillors? No. My only concern is where do you stop and who do you upset? We have quite a few religious denominations now in the world, and they've always been there, but certainly coming to the forefront. Do we extend it to people's birthdays? Is Easter more celebrated than Christmas because somebody passed away at Easter and that was their special time? I get what you're trying to sort of put forward. I just think that it might open it up to a bigger can of worms if it's not pretty strict in there. But that's just a concern that I don't know whether you've thought about other religious denominations that don't celebrate Easter. Christmas, or Easter. If they don't celebrate Christmas, of course, probably not Easter either. But yeah, that was only just a comment, really. Any further discussion, councillors? Sorry, Councillor Pierce, I didn't ask you if you wanted you as a seconder, so you'd like to.
No problem. No discussion.
Okay, thank you. No further discussion. Would you like to close, Councillor Triffett?
No, I think that's. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your comments.
No worries, that's okay. With that, I'll put the motion and I'll call for any dissent first. I'm going to abstain from the motion based on the reasons that I've mentioned. Any further dissent, councillors? With that, the motion is carried. And that's the amended motion, just to be clear. So we've got that written down. Thank you. Item 10.5, 10 days on the island, 2021. Do we have a mover?
Councillor Woods, I'd like to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Woods. Second?
Can I second it with an amendment?
No, you have to move it with an amendment. So you can ask for a change once it goes into it. So you can ask to change the motion or amend the motion once you go into it. But as long as you're not the second mover or second. Can we have a seconder for, or do we have a seconder, I should say, for that motion?
Councillor Browning.
Second, Councillor Browning. Councillor Woods, would you like to open discussion?
Hopefully I don't break up too much. I'll be brief. 10 Days on the Island are a very well-established organisation. They work very professionally, thoroughly, and every one of their 10 days on the island.
Sorry,
I
Councillor.
think it would be an absolute.
You just broke up there. We couldn't get it.
Okay. So briefly, I fully support it because for our valley, this will be an amazing coming out of what we're going through right now. So $10,000 is an amount, but it's not a lot. And I'd really like to see.
Sorry, Councillor, can you just repeat that? Probably 20 or 30 seconds worth, or we lost.
God.
Sorry.
That's okay. I think this will be an opportunity for Derwent Valley Arts to shine as well, and that's something we really need here. So I just want to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Browning, would you like to speak to it as a seconder?
Hello, you there?
Yes.
Sorry, mate, bit of a delay in the mute there. Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to, as Councillor Woods said there, it is an amount, but it isn't really a significant amount considering what benefits can come, and why wouldn't we, for minimal cost, leverage off something that's been well established? Yeah, I'm for it.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion, councillors?
I'd like to add.
Councillor Triffett, yeah.
Point 4.
Yeah, so you'd like to amend the motion or propose an amended motion?
Well, add.
Yeah. Oh, add a dot point, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll ask what it is, and then we'll see if the mover and seconder
Okay. That if the event does not go ahead, then the money is returned to council.
Okay. Mover and seconder happy with that dot point?
Councillor Woods, absolutely.
Councillor Browning, would you be happy with that dot point added?
I'm happy with that dot point, but I'm sure that would be noted elsewhere anyway as a requirement. I would assume so.
All right.
But happy to put it in anyway.
Yep, thank you. So that's okay. Yep, that now becomes the motion. No, that is. Yep.
Can I speak to it now?
You can.
I mean, I absolutely love the idea of 10 days on the island, presenting events in the Derwent Valley, how in these uncertain times and the financial climate at the moment, we need to be very clear how the community's money is being managed.
Thank you. Any further on the full motion? That's your.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? Is everyone's clear on the changes that were accepted by the mover and seconder? Yeah, all good. Just speak up if you're not. Any further discussion, councillors? Would you like to close, Councillor Woods?
Just quickly that it's starting to attack some of our strategic plans. 7.8, for instance. Again, supporting Derwent Valley Arts. I think moving forward would be a really good thing.
Thank you. We'll put the motion to a vote. Any dissent, please unmute yourself and let me know. There being no dissent, I will declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.6, Executive Officer Amanda McCall is leaving the room and declared an interest, and so has Councillor Luke Browning. So again, when you're ready to come back, we'll send you a message and you can log back into the meeting.
Not a problem.
Just for the record, those councillors have left the meeting at one councillor and officer has left the meeting at 6:51. Just double checking, got a quorum. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I do. 5. Item 10.6, Valley Children's Centre COVID-19 fees. Do we have a mover?
I'll move it, Mr Mayor. Councillor Pearce.
Thanks, Councillor Pearce. Move Councillor Pearce second. Councillor Evans, thank you. Second by Councillor Evans. Open discussion, Councillor Pearce.
Nothing much. I think it's, while I'm always focused on money, it's not a very large amount, and I think it's probably just a sensible thing to do.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Evans, would you like to speak to the motion at all?
I think Councillor Pearce captured it. It's a good thing to do, and a responsible council and people's health and well-being, I think, Mr Mayor. So,
thank you, Councillor Evans. Any further discussion, councillors? No, would you like to close, Councillor Pearce?
No, that's fine.
Thank you. We'll put the motion as usual. We'll call for any dissent first. Is there any dissent? There being no dissent, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. And we've invited Councillor Browning back to the meeting. If we could invite Executive Officer Amanda McCall back to the meeting, that would be good. Bear with us for a second, please, councillors and everybody else. Whilst we get all the councillors back in the room. Sorry, everybody, we still haven't got Councillor Browning. It's still connecting by the looks of it. Have we got you again now, Councillor Browning? Councillor Browning, do we have you? You're on mute if you are there.
I am here, mate. Sorry.
Thank you. The wonders of virtual meetings. Fantastic. Thank you, councillors, and Councillor Browning and Executive Manager Amanda McCall have entered the room, re-entered the room at 6:54, just for the record. Item number 10.7, community infrastructure contribution. Do we have a mover?
I'll move it, Mr Mayor. Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Moved, Councillor Pearce. Do we have a seconder?
Second for discussion.
Seconded, Councillor Triffett. Thank you. Would you like to open discussion, Councillor Pearce?
Yeah, I guess the timing's not perfect given the outcome of item 7.1 on the agenda. Headworks charges do make sense because basically it says that existing ratepayers aren't held to be responsible for the additional infrastructure that new developments create. The amount per residence here is only $750, so it's not an insurmountable amount. Whether it's introduced but deferred until after the COVID-19 recovery, I guess, is a matter for discussion. I just note, in light of your earlier question, any funds that are collected from one of these kinds of contributions would go into a reserve where we would be expected to hold the cash as a restricted cash and therefore not spend it on anything else. That'll do.
Thanks, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Triffett, would you like to speak to that?
No? Very succinct.
Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? No. Would you like to close, Councillor Pearce?
No, that's fine.
Thank you. Put the motion. Any dissent for the motion? Take that as a no. So I take that as everybody's in favour and the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.8, policy review, records management policy. Do we have a mover? Do we have a mover at item 10.8?
I'll move it for discussion, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Moved, Councillor Pearce. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Evans. Thank you, Councillor Evans. Second, Councillor Evans. Councillor Pearce, would you like to open the discussion that you wanted to have?
It's a very extensive policy for just keeping track of councillor records, but I guess ultimately in terms of keeping us on the straight and narrow, it probably makes some degree of sense, and we should proceed with it.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Any further discussion, councillors? Councillor Evans, would you like to speak to the motion? Sorry, as a second. Thank you. Okay, would you like to close, Councillor Pearce?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
I can see you on my screen too, so if you'd like to, at any stage, if you like to nod, I can take that to save you unmuting. With that, I'll call for any. I'll put the motion. Call for any dissent. There being no dissent, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.9, Tariff Lodge wetlands. With this, councillors, we need to have a in the mover. We need to actually have a decision because there's a couple of options there. So we need somebody to move it with an option. Just so I'm clear, Executive Manager just passed me some information. Dot point 4, Taswater have undertaken in principle, they would do a landscape architectural plan for the site already. So that is already on the cards. So it's not a master plan, it's an architectural landscape plan. So if we can change that on your motion. Okay. So I've called for a mover and I don't have one at this stage.
I'll move it for discussion, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Do we have a seconder for the Turrick Lodge wetlands?
I'll second.
Councillor Belcher?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. Sorry.
No, that's right. I just double checking for the record, that's all. Moved by Councillor Pearce, second by Councillor Belcher. Would you like to open discussion, Councillor Pearce?
I think it's a problem that needs to be resolved between Taswater and the council. My preferred position would, without seeing what community consultation says, would be to do the minimum, just make good what's there and have it transferred back to our ownership. I don't think we can afford to have a whole pile of new infrastructure put in place in the wetlands area. But I guess as part of that process, we need to confirm that the community is happy with that.
I'm just going to ask a question of clarification of the executive manager who's put the report up. In terms of community consultation, if it's public open space and we've been having these discussions, we've just gone through our public open space document. Does it have any reference to this area at all? And if it hasn't, you'd probably say that the community didn't see it as a public open space. So not a whole lot of consultation probably needed.
Really, Mr Mayor, I'm unaware that the community thought highly of it other than for recreational value. Walking, observing some of the wildlife down there as well was noted within the open space strategy, but it didn't rate significantly in the comments or the feedback that was received by the consultants that undertook the consultation.
Thank you. I guess the reason I just raise it is just in terms of how much effort we put back into. We've seen these public consultations and plans. We've spent a lot of ratepayers' money on plans and consultations already. How much do you want to do in terms of consultation if they've already had the chance? It's not even adopted, I don't think. Fully the open space plan, the draft has been adopted. So yeah, it's just a comment from me is we're asking to go back out to consultation for something that we've just gone out to consultation for, and if Taswater aren't paying for that, we probably shouldn't be following ourselves up. So.
If I can, Mr Mayor,
yep.
So the discussion has basically come from Taswater that they want to consult and discuss the matter with the public, basically driven by council, I would suggest. They want to ensure that whatever their landscape design plan that they create is in keeping with what council requires from a maintenance perspective, but just ensuring that whatever is undertaken is within the limits of the community's expectations.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pearce, you've already spoken. Did you open the discussion?
I open the discussion, yes.
All right, Councillor Belcher, would you like to talk to the motion?
No, I'm all good. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? Councillor Evans.
Mr Mayor, this has been ongoing for years and years and years. But there's some really interesting things there, like the resident local platypus population that actually is there, and the wildlife and the ecosystems that are there. Make a beautiful dog walking space, but do you lose one to gain the other? And what it looks like going forward. So I know that the consultation should have been done for open space, really. You know, when people were looking at the valley as a whole in the open space strategy, which I didn't actually vote for, Mr. Mayor, anyway, but that's only my prerogative. But yeah, some concerns around what it's going to look like. There needs to be some consultation, but limited to timeline. This has been ongoing for a long, long period of time. There was some fantastic plans initially, but I think it should probably have some consultation, particularly around that spot, because I think there's some interesting people in the valley that could actually really add to the conversation on what it looks like and how we treat it going forward as a space for the community for the future.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Any further discussion, councillors?
Councillor Woods?
Thank you, Councillor Woods.
Yes, I agree with Kathy. I think some form of community feedback, now that they know that this is presenting itself. It doesn't have to be a big comprehensive consultation, but just so that.
Sorry, Councillor Woods, you broke up again.
Just something to make people aware that this is about to happen, and
Yep.
they may have a bit of a say. Just some feedback. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry, your line is really bad there, so we got that though, the last part.
I'll have to get the kids off the computers.
Any further discussion, councillors?
Councillor Browning.
Councillor Browning, no worries, go for it.
Obviously, through what we've heard through other councillors there, that there's obviously the larger picture decision that needs to be made around the overall result of what we do with it or what happens to it. But I'm happy to support this recommendation as far as it is up to this point anyway.
Thank you, councillor. Okay, would you like to close, Councillor Pearce?
Yeah, just a little bit. I think it's worth noting that it isn't us who are doing the community consultation, and at this stage it isn't us who are spending the money on reinstatement of the area. It's Taswater doing it. I guess the argument from the community will be how much money and Taswater is prepared to spend on doing remediation works, and how much pressure the council would be putting on Taswater to do a bells and whistles outcome rather than a basic outcome. So even if it goes through community consultation, Taswater may decide that it's only going to go so far. So it's not necessarily a council decision ultimately. It may be a council negotiation.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. I guess that's, sorry to speak after you've closed, just that was my concern in terms of, again, creating that community expectation, because Taswater will only offer what money they offer, but thank you. All right, with that, I'll put motion. Any dissent? There being none, I'll take that as motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.10, policy review, financial hardship policy. Do we have a mover?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move it with an amendment.
And the amendment is, Councillor Pearce?
I would like to delete clause 4.33 of the policy as being unnecessary. That's the remission clause. And I'd like to delete the last paragraph of clause 4.3.2, which refers to the council's current decision about no interest on outstanding rates.
I'll just give the councillors time to sort of find those dot points. You haven't circulated them prior to tonight, have you, councillor? Your thoughts on that?
No.
No. Right. Just give councillors a minute or so just to go to those. Yeah. Would you be able to repeat it again whilst the councillor's going, please, councillor?
Yes, I would like to move the policy, but with deletion of the remission clause, clause 4.3.3, and deletion of the last clause of 4.3.2, which relates to the council's current decision about no interest on outstanding rates.
all the councillors get that information correctly that time, or clearly, I should say? Councillor Evans is going to second that, so we can start the discussion and debate anyway. Councillor Evans seconds. Councillor Pearce, over to you with the amendment.
Well, it's not an amendment, it's a total motion, a variation. I think overall it's a good idea to have a financial hardship policy. I think that we don't need both a financial hardship policy and a no interest on outstanding rates policy. If you've got a hardship policy where people in hardship can apply for their rates to be deferred for up to 2 years, then that is sufficient in my view to deal with the hardship that they're facing coming out of COVID-19. And that, so I guess I'm flagging that as part of the budget process. I will be attempting to get the council to rescind its current decision on no interest on outstanding rates. I don't think.
So just to clear that last part, you said, so you wouldn't be asking the council to rescind their decision on not chasing outstanding rates. You just don't want it in the policy going forward.
I will during the budget process be asking for that to be rescinded.
Okay.
Given that that's likely to happen, I think it's silly to put it in a policy where it doesn't actually need to be. The reason why I'm suggesting we don't need remission is because we actually have, because the policy on deferral allows rates to be deferred for up to 2 years. Getting past 2 years means that you're no longer in the COVID-19 recovery process, you're into some other process. And this is specifically about financial hardship for COVID-19. Even if you were to extend a deferral past the rates, even if they don't have to be paid immediately, stay as an outstanding charge against individual properties. And that lasts for basically forever until the property is ultimately sold, where the council can recover those rates at settlement. So you can still avoid the hardship by deferring rates without having to remit the rates or cancel them altogether. I don't think the remission aspect of it is necessary.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll just, the author of the report would like to speak.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that's Councillor Pearce.
Can everyone hear? Can you hear that okay, friend? Put yours on.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Through you, Mr Mayor, there would be an additional section removed, which is the second and third paragraphs in section 4.5, which would be the assessment of the applications. If the council were happy to remove those sections as well with Councillor Pearce's motion.
Okay. You're happy with that?
Yes, I'm happy with that extra.
Speak. Councillor Pearce, sorry, did you want to speak to the officer's comments?
I would happy to add those in as a further alteration.
Okay, so can I just get some clarity on the dot points? Has somebody got them written down? What's your first one, Councillor Pearce?
First one is 4.3.3 deleted.
Yep.
4.3.2 is the last sentence, last paragraph, which relates to the no interest on outstanding rates.
Yes.
And then there would be the subsequent variations that the officer just mentioned.
Okay. What was the variation that you proposed?
4.5, 2 and 3.
4.5, paragraph 2.
And that's around the assessment.
Okay. So, councillors, obviously it's a little bit hard doing it on the fly on a virtual meeting, but generally that seemed like a little bit of tidying of wording and things in the policy. Has anyone got any questions around any of those changes before we go back into debate? Or just ask for the questions first, just because it is a little bit difficult virtually. All right, that's okay. So we've heard from Councillor Pearce and the Executive Officer. Councillor Evans, would you like to speak to the motion at all?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's been covered.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak to the motion? No. Would you like to close, Councillor Pearce?
I think I've said enough.
Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I'll put the motion. I'll call for any dissent first. Being no dissent, I'll take it everybody is for the motion. Motion is carried unanimously with the changes, and we'll reflect that in the minutes. Item 10.1.1, community grants, DFAT Ellerstein Reserve Survey. Was that supposed to be under community grants? No. That's just because as I was reading that, I'm thinking that's not supposed to say that. So I'll strike the words community grants. Okay. Sorry, councillors. I was just going through that motion. We'll just strike the word community grants, and item 10.1.1 is DFAT Ellerstein Reserve Survey. That is the motion. Do we have a mover?
Councillor Wood, so I'm happy to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Woods. Second. Councillor Evans. I'd like to open discussion, Councillor Woods. Oh, sorry. We can't hear you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, could you start that again, please? We only just got the.
Okay. Just want to say that I'm happy to support both noting the results and providing the support, the in-kind support.
Thank you.
The landowners, which is I just wanted to add the extra information about the secure public toilets. Most people in that survey responded to the.
Sorry, Councillor Woods, you broke again. Didn't get much of that.
Looking to the future. Yeah, sorry. With the public toilets, maybe not this budget, but I think we need to look at it in the next budget or sometime in the near future. That's just a comment.
Where did the open space report recommend anything for? I guess that's my concern, is that this survey was conducted before the public open space survey. Everybody in the community had a chance to have that information, and did that come out strongly in that survey? And reading that survey, only about 10 people actually were youth, and a quarter of them didn't even know what Ellerstein Reserve was. So yeah, fairly interesting survey.
I think moving forward, Ellerstein needs to be more of a family orientated thing, and the use of toilets for
Sorry, Councillor, you're dropping out again.
I'll have to leave it there with that.
Yeah. So I guess the only thing to say is that I probably tend to agree with you, but we also have a strategy now and a way forward with our open spaces, and we probably need to make sure that we're in line with that, rather than jumping outside of that, as we've sort of decided as a council that our planning and doing things by our strategic planning is probably the best way forward, rather than proposing things outside of those processes. But I was asking the executive manager, can you remember if any of that was included in the or after?
Through Mr. Mayor, the toilets didn't come through strongly in the conversations by the consultants for the open space strategy. It wasn't something that an element that they picked up needed to be considered by council, but certainly they did a number of other elements that DFAT surveyors identified, such as tree planting and some extra furniture was included in the open space strategy.
Thank you. That's Richard Blackwell there. Councillor Evans, would you like to speak to the motion as a seconder?
No, thank you. There's some interesting information in there, and it does give us sections of the community that comment on that, and probably did not participate in the open space strategy. So toilets are always something that towns and villages and municipalities are actually rated on, and very close to the childcare centre. Maybe there's an opportunity to retrofit, say, the SES building with toilet facility somehow in there to assist in that. And I think there's lots of options there, but it was good to get that feedback in mind. So I was.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Any further discussion, councillors, around the room? Or the virtual room?
Councillor Browning?
Councillor Browning, yes?
Yes, can I please get some clarification or just a bit better understanding, I guess, and how others have understood the recommendation number 2, how it says provide in-kind support to maintain and improve the reserve where resources exist, which could cover money, materials, staff, and so on. Approved by the landowner, consistent with the open space strategy. Now, am I assuming that the in-kind support that we'll be putting forward would then be them improvements would actually come out of the operational maintenance budget? Or would it be more along the lines of, I'm assuming the use of the public toilets would be a more of a capital project. So would that mean that that would be more in principle, subject to a plan or a budget for that to come through? I'm just trying to, what am I giving in-kind support for? I'm just wondering where the limits are in that support when it says improve as well, basing it off the 4 dot points down lower.
Yeah, the officer here, the officer who wrote the report isn't here, but I'm not sure if the manager of that office has any conversation around it. Yeah, no, I'm getting a shaking head. I tend to agree with you in terms of it's sort of fairly broad, and I would imagine we would already provide. I'm not sure why it's called in-kind support, because
yes,
part of our operational budget anyway, which we do maintain the park and upgrades. I'm mindful here that the recommendation actually does say play and open in accordance with the play and open space strategy, and some of the things in their report don't actually come under the open space strategy. So it's kind of contradictory to the report and the survey. So I'm kind of with you. It is a little bit confusing about what we're actually being asked for in dot point 2.
Yeah, just very concerned about what I'm actually in-kinding support of, given the the enormity of what our budget can be for new secure public toilets, because there's no costings included as well, so I can't even reference against that.
No, fair point.
So that's probably just shy on a bit of information and a bit of clarity around exactly what I'm giving in-kind support for.
Is there any other executive officers on the meeting that can maybe? No. Okay.
If I can, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, you might need to speak.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We've certainly got a number of facilities that need upgrading first before we get to looking at new facilities. I'd suggest we've certainly looking at a strategy of working through the replacement of our buildings and the like, and room for new facilities probably don't fit into that in the immediate future. However, there may be some ability, as Councillor Evans has pointed out, to partner with Tanara or the SES for them to have facilities that are open.
Thank you, Richard. Any further discussion, councillors?
Just Mr. Mayor, Councillor Pearce, just as a suggestion, if we're not quite sure what it is we're determining, should we not defer the item for further information? And also move that.
You would like to move a deferral, Councillor Pearce? Yeah. We have a seconder. Do we have a seconder, I should say?
Councillor Browning.
Put the motion. All those in favour?
So-
Call for any dissent, sorry. I've done everything in reverse then. So any dissent for a deferral? No. I'll take that as the motion is carried for a deferral for more information to come back to the council. Thank you. Thanks, councillors, for debate and discussion there. Again, it's difficult to have it virtually. Makes it a little bit hard. Item 10.12, delegation to general manager policy. Do we have a mover?
If in doubt, it seems like it's me.
I've seen you reaching. So Councillor Pearce has moved. Do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that, Councillor Belcher.
Second, Councillor Belcher. Thank you. Councillor Pearce?
I think with the new general manager coming on board very, very soon, it's probably opportune just to make it very clear what the council expects his delegations to be, and understand that he's entitled to actually on-delegate to his staff on many of those issues. It also says that there are things under the Act that we can't delegate, so it makes that quite clear as well. So I think it's an opportune time to do this.
Thanks, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Belcher?
No, I'm happy, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Any further discussion, councillors? Delegations? No? Would you like to close, Councillor Pearce? Thank you. Put the motion and call for any dissent. There being no dissent, I'll take it as everybody's for and the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.13, Senior Management Report. Do we have a mover?
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Belcher.
Thank you, Councillor Belcher. Moved, Councillor Belcher. 10.13. Second.
Councillor Browning.
Yes. I've seen you reaching. Thanks, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Belcher, would you like to open discussion for that one?
No, I'm all good, thank you. It's always good to get this report every month. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pearce?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion around the virtual room, councillors? No? Would you like to close, Councillor Belcher? No? Councillor Belcher, would you like to close?
No, I'm all good, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any dissent, councillors? I'll put the motion. Being no dissent, I'll take that as everybody's for the motion and therefore the motion is carried unanimously. Item number 11, councillor raised questions. 11.1, responses to councillor questions, there were nil. Item 11.2, councillor questions received in writing, there were nil. Item 11.3, councillor questions without notice. Do we have any this evening?
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Belcher, just got a follow-up question. At the March meeting, I asked about the geese cull at Timwood Park and was told by the acting general manager, Mr. Barrett, that I would have the complaint that come to council given to me and why we acted on that complaint. And it's now been 2 months and still haven't received it. I just wanted to see if I can still get a copy of that complaint that come to council. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Would you like me to follow that? I'm not aware of the former acting manager Barrett's intention on how he was getting that to you, and certainly haven't been involved in any correspondence. So would you like me to follow that up with the executive management team and the current acting GM, or wait until the new GM starts on Monday?
Oh, yeah, maybe we can wait till Monday, Mr. Mayor. But like I did go back and listen to the audio. Brian actually did say that he would get a copy of that complaint that come to council and why council acted the way they did with the geese. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
I do remember, and yeah, just saying that I wasn't aware of any correspondence, either negative or positive. So I'll chase it up with. Obviously, Brian's not in that chair anymore, but I can chase it up, and if you like, on your behalf with the new general manager. But also, I know that you're probably catching up with the new general manager next week as well. So might like to raise it. Thank you, councillors. Item number 12, matters proposed for consideration in closed. They are confirmation of the previous minutes, property debt, Valley Children's Centre, closed senior management report, and a public announcement determination. Do we have a mover? Councillor Evans. Second. Councillor Triffett. Any discussion, councillors? No. We've got closed, Councillor Evans. Full motion. Any dissent for the matters to be considered in closed? Excuse me. There being no dissent, the motion is carried unanimously. Item 13, closure of the meeting to the public. Do we have a mover? Councillor Evans. Second. Councillor Triffett. Any discussion, councillors? No. Put that to the floor. Any dissent? No. Therefore, that motion is carried unanimously as well, and the meeting is closed at 7:30. We will now turn the audio recording off and the video recording for the purpose of the tape. And elected members, if you could stay online, and yeah, we'll be back after the closed meeting. That video's off. All recordings are now off. There we go. Okay. And community who are listening to the audio and video, we have now resumed. Excuse me. We've now resumed meeting recordings as per the start of the open meeting, and we also are videoing this virtual meeting. We're resuming the meeting at 8:29. Record of attendance stays the same as previous. However, Councillor Belch's phone went flat. So he was with us for most of the closed meeting. So his record, he was in attendance. He is not at this stage for the final part of the meeting. That's okay. And item 15, public release announcement is we confirmed the previous minutes of last meeting. We resolved the property debts associated with the buildings formerly known as the Oval Ward building in Willow Court, we approved the recommendation for the Valley Children's Centre, and we noted the closed senior management report, and there were no leave of absence. With that, I will close the meeting at 8:30 p.m. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, councillors. Feel free to stay on the line. We're gonna close the audio recording and the video recording. If you want to stay on the line for a chat, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.